Working in a theme park can provide many great opportunities and benefits for those looking to seek their employment in a theme park. But when it comes to the UK's largest theme park and wanting to work within the rides, what's it actually like? Well, let's find out. What's up guys, welcome back to the Apollo. In this video we're going to be discussing my experience working at the UK's largest theme park, Alton Towers, as a ride host. Going from the first days of the job, looking at what you'd be expecting across the season, what you can find within the job role, and my overall thoughts and opinions for the opportunity. But without further ado, if you are going to enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and let's get straight into it. So, you may be sat at home thinking, what does this guy know about working at a theme park? Well, here's a photo of me working at Alton Towers in the 2025 season. I've also got name badges. I've got a load of name badges. I've got one there. I've got one there, there, there. And I've also got this crappy one. We're going to talk about that one in a bit. But I have been very fortunate to experience the Alton Towers Resort as a member of the team over the 2025 season, working as a rides host. Now, if you don't know what a rides host is or haven't heard of the role before, don't worry, I'm going to try and explain this as best as possible. But firstly, I want to address just quickly that working within theme parks, and especially the Merlin Entertainment Group, there's a lot of things that we can't discuss about, unfortunately, here today. So feel free to search these on the internet, you'll probably find the answers there, but if there's anything specific you're looking for, can't talk about here. But anyway, working within Alton Towers, the UK's largest theme park, is of course home to some great world-class rides and attractions. We also have a water park, 5 on-site accommodations. You can tell I've memorised the facts. Now, in those roles, there are many things that you can be doing. You could be working in retail, you could be working in customer service, you could be working in the hotels, or if you like myself, and like most people potentially watching this video, or just in general, you want to be working within the rides, being the hands-on responsibility for making those daily operations. Now, there are a few roles that you can apply for within this sector of the park, but most specifically, there's 2 roles that you're going to be looking towards. You've got your ride host role and your ride operative role. These are 2 separate roles, and ideally you want to be starting with ride host, just purely because ride operative, it's something that would ideally require the experience of a ride host role before. However, if you've already experienced or have some experience within that aspect of the industry, then feel free to go for a ride operative if that's what you want to do. So a ride host then, this is essentially making sure that the everyday operations of the rides and attractions at the theme park are running efficiently and working in coordination with your ride operator. Now, if you've ever been to Alton Towers, or let's say Thorpe Park, Chessington, Blackpool, Pleasure Beach, Flamingo Land, Paultons Park, or any park across the country and across the world, you're going to come across these individual members of staff. Let's say for Alton Towers in this instance, and let's look at Toxicator. When you go into Toxicator, you will notice plenty of Phalanx operatives or members of staff. Now, there are numerous members of staff that are on the platforms. You'll have a member of staff at your merge point. A ride host is essentially that first line of customer service on a ride. These are the ones that are essentially introducing you to the ride experience, the ones that are getting you ready and prepared to go onto the ride, and then also essentially as well making sure that you're checked in, you know, your harness, or if you're going on a ride, making sure that that lap bar restraint is perfectly secure and keeping you in the desired position for the ride before giving the all confirmed to your ride operator that the ride is ready to be dispatched. So thinking about Toxicator here, when you obviously go into the queue line, if you're a fast track, ride access pass, single rider, or just join the main queue, you come to a point where it's a merge and there'll be a member of staff there that is a ride host. These are what we call service roles. Now, service roles are the ones that are, as the name suggests, customer service based. So these will be your merge roles, your baggage holds, so where like on 13, or the Smiler or Wicker Man, you'll have these sections where you give your bags and any possessions over to a member of staff, and that will be what will hold your baggage there. And then obviously when you go onto the ride itself, like I said, if there is any restraints or that, you will have the member of staff there guiding you in, dispatching you to your seats, checking the restraints, making sure they're perfectly loose and secure for you. Also reconfirming as well with other ride hosts whether, you know, you're clear for the ride, you've done your checks, you're safe to go, and the ride is good to be operated. From that point, you will then provide a clear signal to your operator to make sure that the ride is ready to be dispatched, or whatever it'll be, using some signals or some words, to which then, you know, you just do that. And you just essentially rinse and repeat over and out. Now, it is quite a dream opportunity for a lot of people, you know, to be the ones, rather than experiencing the rides, to going over to being somebody that's actually now in control of the magic. That was actually one of the main reasons that I wanted to go and work in this role. I've been kind of interested in theme parks and general rides for a long time, but over in the last 2 years, that peak interest has really skyrocketed, from getting to experience a lot more parks across the country this year, to even going abroad and managing to experience some stuff over there as well. It's a really great opportunity and experience to be able to share a passion for the theme park industry and actually put it into a career. And it's like I said, I joined Alton Towers because for me, the opportunity to work for the UK's largest theme park, it's like a dream opportunity. For a bit of context, I actually live closer to Drayton Manor. I'm about 10 minutes away from Drayton Manor, whereas for me, Alton Towers is about an hour away. The only reason I didn't go to Drayton Manor was because they never got back to me. I applied for a job role there, they never got back to me. Whereas Alton Towers, I applied for them, got an interview date straight away, and within a week I was almost in the job role itself, which is a really great sense of communication from Alton Towers. Now, when you're going to be working as a ride host, you know, this can involve many different rides on the park. You won't necessarily find yourself, I don't want to say not deserving the ride that you want. Just be prepared to accept that you may not get to experience everything that you may wish to achieve. And that's probably the first major thing I can say about working as a ride host, irrespective of any theme park. Set your expectations and be prepared to, you know, either be overwhelmed by what you meet or just genuinely a bit underwhelmed, because, you know what I mean, it's not going to be your ideal time in these jobs. Sometimes you're going to find yourself, unfortunately, not doing the roles that you want to do, but the best thing I can say is persevere with it and just keep a positive attitude for it, because, you know, what you are doing is still a great opportunity and still a dream role for a lot of people that you get to greet and serve every day, so keep that in mind. So first and foremost, let's just go through the process of actually getting this job. So what you can do is you can go on Merlin Entertainment or the theme park respective website. In my case, Alton Towers, it's run by Merlin Entertainment, so it's the same for like Thorpe Park, Chessington, Legoland Windsor. You'll find those pages will have job role opportunities there. Click on there, you can scroll for your job and just fill out a basic form. That'll just describe some questions and whatnot. It's quite fun. You then receive an invite for an interview. Now, in the case of Alton Towers, this will be normally held at Magic HQ. If you've ever been to Alton Towers and you've been on the monorail, you'll notice a massive green warehouse just by the main entrance, as if you're going off to the drop-off car parking or electric charge or express car parking. That massive green warehouse is Magic HQ. That's where a lot of the senior management are for Alton Towers, but it's also where a lot of the staff members will go there. Like I said, from the rides in the local area to just general like food members, retail members, essentially a hub for all your staff. You'll have your interview there and you'll get answered some questions by one of the senior figures. One of the questions that you may find interesting is they might ask you what your favourite ride is at the park. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but when I got asked it, I said Nemesis Reborn because it naturally is. And I ended up working within the area that Nemesis Reborn is in, Forbidden Valley. Again, we'll touch on that in a sec. But with that question in mind, you may find that depending what you say could be the area of the park that you do work in. So do be mindful that whatever you do say, you know, be prepared that you could be working in that area of the park. But again, it could all be speculative. It's not my choice. So at that point, for me personally, after having that interview, I was instantly offered the opportunity. After a quick thinking over and essentially wanting to experience this opportunity to the fullest, I agreed on the day. You instantly will get signed to an induction date, whereupon which you'll be introduced to your job role, and then you'll also get introduced into your uniform if you want to do that on the day. So straight away, it's a really nice, simple process there. The only little thing that could be nice is actually guiding you to where to go for your interview, because if you don't have any clue where you're going, especially as the information provided on these emails can be a little bit daunting to follow, you know, you may actually run the risk of missing your interview altogether. So then you've had your interview and you're now onto your induction days. This is where the journey really starts as a rides host at Alton Towers. Now, firstly, you'll get one of two interview/induction points at this point. Your first one will be your extraordinary beginnings. This is essentially to introduce you to the Alton Towers Resort, what you can expect, a little bit of history towards the park, getting to meet some of your fellow staff members that you may be working with alongside, or some of the other people that as well have applied for roles within the park. It doesn't necessarily have to be the rides, it can be people like from the water park or just general retail. It's what they can fit in best, because bear in mind there's a lot of people that work at Alton Towers, so you're going to be meeting a lot of people, but for the most part you will be stuck with the same group of rides people. So like I said, this is just to introduce you into the park, get you used to what your surroundings is and what is likely to be expected from your time at Alton Towers Resort. You will then have another induction, which is essentially more so focused on the specific area of the park that you're going to be working in. So like I said, as for rides, this is to essentially introduce you to rides, you know, what is going to be expected of you. You know, you're going to be potentially working at heights, you're going to find yourself working to a very high standard, and believe me, it's a very high standard. You know, just essentially everything with rides, everything to do with the operations, what you expect to do throughout the day, how you can maximise your time with the rides and also customer service, and making sure that you feel that you're going to be able to do the best opportunities possible when working on these rides. These are a really great opportunity to kind of get a feel for what you're going to be expecting. Again, if you do feel nervous or have any questions or feel a little bit reserved about the role, use these induction dates as a great opportunity to make forth of any information that you may have, but also get out those nerves, get out those jitters, and try and see if you can find yourself immersed in what's potentially going to be a very exciting opportunity for yourself. With the inductions out of the way, just before you do actually go and start off your first days at the park, you will need to go and grab your uniform. So when it comes to getting your uniform, it's also located within Magic HQ. For me, this happened on the same day as my interview. However, you can do this at another point if you need to schedule any appointments. It's a nice, simple office. There's lovely people there that will greet you, get your size and get your measurements, and you'll get your uniform. Now again, this does depend on what you are doing at the park, but for the most part, a lot of the staff will be wearing their reds. So whenever you go around, you'll see this on the rides or just in retail, everybody will be wearing a red uniform. This includes a red polo top, red fleece, red waterproof coat. You'll get trousers provided if you haven't already, but again, you can wear your own trousers as long as they're black. Shoes wise, you can wear whatever you like as long as it's ideally black, not really branded too heavily or very visibly branded. Personally, go with walking boots or just something that's a little bit more durable than trainers, especially if you're going to be working outdoors or on your feet for a lot, especially in rides, you're going to be on your feet a lot. You want to maximise your comfort. You may also find that you get name badges. Now, again, this can depend on what you're doing within the park. So on your induction, I got one of these. It's bloody awful. If you've ever seen the In-Betweeners, don't wear that, it's absolutely awful. You've got your standard name badge there. You get 2, I think, of these provided with you. You can request more of these if you want. If you're there for the events like Halloween or even the Christmas one, you may find yourself getting one of these. So this is a Scarefest pin badge, or name badge. It's exactly the same, however this is just a nice little thing that you can wear. If you find yourself on a ride, and specifically some rides will have specifically themed uniforms, the likes of Galactica, anything in Forbidden Valley, the Curse of Alton Manor, Wicker Man, the Smiler, and I believe stuff in CBeebies Land, you may get a customised name badge like this one. This one is my Curse of Alton Manor one. Again, you also get those uniforms provided for you, but it also just does depend on what ride you're doing on. So don't think you can just walk in and say, or request a Nemesis ride, because they'll also check it as well to double check that you're actually going to be on that ride, because you know uniform is sparse. So at minimum you will get your reds, but depending on what ride or what area of the park you're going to be working on, you could be getting themed uniform as well. So you've got your uniform, you've done your induction, now we get on to the fun part, actually starting your job role at Alton Towers Resort. Now at some point you will receive an email from one of your area managers, and this will basically be to introduce themselves to you. You know, these are the points of contacts that you need to make if you have any concerns. It's like a triangle system. As of recording, there are changes going on throughout Merlin Entertainment, so if you are applying for 2026 season, please take everything here being said with a pinch of salt, because there can be some changes. But essentially, you'll have an area manager, as in Alton Towers' case, the park is split up into 4 areas. So you'll find that one area of the park houses a certain set of rides, another part, another part, another part. Now, in my case, my area was Area 1, so this included all the rides in Forbidden Valley, the Curse of Alton Manor, and the monorail. So this is obviously Nemesis Reborn, Galactica, Nemesis Subterra, and the new addition for 2025, Toxicator. But it's the same with every other park on every other area of the park. I don't know how it works for Merlin, Thorpe Park or Chesterton. It might be the same, and it probably is. But given the size of those parks, you know, it might be intermingled. But again, it can all change. So yes, you'll get an email basically saying what area of the park you're working in, where you can be expected to contact if you need any help or anything from these managers. And then they'll obviously reiterate you on where you need to be for your briefs. Now you'll receive your rota, and this will let you know of what rides you're working on. You can also see on this plan who else is working with you in the area. So if you needed to swap your ride or wanted to swap a shift for anything, then this is your point of contact to let people know about what you need to do there. Now, first and foremost, you will go to your morning brief. Now, this is normally 1 hour before your ride opens. Now, for me, this year, I got to spend my time on the monorail. I spent 2 days on the Cursor Alton Manor and a brief day on 13. So for the most part, rides across the park will open at 10 o'clock. The theme park gates open at 9 o'clock. The monorail does start normally around 9 o'clock, but we'll get onto that in a sec. So whatever happens, you will be there 1 hour before the ride opens. So in the monorail's case, you'll be there at say 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're on say Nemesis Reborn or just any of the rides in the park, you'll be there normally at around 9 o'clock to have your morning brief. Now this will occur with the rest of your team and all the members of staff that are working in the area on that day with your area manager, and this will just basically explain, you know, just see how you are, give you some updates on information throughout the day. So if there's any like ride updates, so let's say in the instance of Curse and Alton Manor, you know, we can't run a fast track queue today, or Nemesis Reborn, just making sure that we keep playing your PAs for mobile phones and any loose articles be stored. Just giving you those little points of information just before you do go out your day. Obviously this is more so towards like the operators, but this can also apply to your ride hosts as well. So you'll have your morning brief, you'll then head over to your ride, and this will be where you do your morning checks. Now, working on the monorail, what would normally happen is there's 2 stations. So you'll have a Station A and Station B. Station B is the one located at the car parks and hotels. Station A is the one located at the main park entrance. Now normally you have a group of 4 monorail hosts, or sometimes you can start with 3 in the morning plus a relief host. So essentially you have one host go to Station A and monorail the station there, one host at Station B, another one at Station B as well, and then your relief one is essentially that 4th member of staff, but they're the one essentially covering your breaks for you. So you do your morning checklist, make sure the rides are open and safe and ready to be, you know, efficiently open as soon as it hits the opening times. You may find that you come opening a little bit earlier than expected. Without a doubt, you will have times where you do open late, open extremely late, or just don't open altogether. A lot of these things are out of your control sometimes. So when, say, you have to explain to customers on a morning that you are going to be opening late, obviously don't go too in depth with detail, because otherwise people just start going on wildfire, but also provide enough information that it's clear what's happening without obviously being too revealing, if that makes sense. You know, keep the magic safe, but without obviously, you know, misleading your customers. So you'll have your morning checklist, you'll open the rides, and then operations run as normal. So you'll be dispatching your guests, checking your harnesses, loading your guests on, and just doing that throughout the day. Now obviously this can depend on what you do. For me personally, doing this on the monorail, it's not the most exciting of shifts, I must admit. You start an hour earlier, you finish an hour later, so the monorail will close 1 hour after ride time. Bear in mind, if you're doing a Scarefest shift and ride close is at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, sorry, it can be nearly 14, 15 hour days. So do be prepared for those really long shifts, because they can be quite tiring. But normally with the monorail, you'll find yourself busy in the morning. You'll have a brief period of busyness towards midday, but for the most part, you'll spend most of the time cleaning, generally keeping up with the operations and making sure that towards the end of the day, you're ready for that close down. And then essentially it's the same as it is with the close down. You'll do your closing checks, make sure the ride's safe, been properly turned off, everything's been cleared, there's no guests in ride areas, you know, and you'll be ready to go. Now, if you need to be ride trained on anything, there will be people there that are specialised in this. So as long with your ride hosts and ride operators, people are also molded into ride trainers. These are the ones that you'll follow on your start of your journey, and they will go through a COSWAP, or a Code of Working Safe Practices. This is essentially just to make sure that you are competent and, clear on the risks and information involved with the ride that you're going to be working on, and making sure that you are able to do your job in the best and safest manner possible. I cannot stress this enough. Be absolutely attentive and pay attention to this. Yes, it can take a little bit of a while to get passed off on some of these rides, but it is genuinely for your own safety. You sometimes sit there and think it won't happen to you, that you don't need to press your e-stop, or you don't need to prevent a dangerous situation from escalating. I was like that as well, and for the most part of my season I got quite lucky with that. However, when it does happen, it can be quite a nervous situation, a bit of an anxious situation. So do be prepared to see that out. You can get taken off. Ideally, it's not a great experience, unfortunately, but it is just to reaffirm that you need to be doing your job properly. And also, if needs be, you can also be moved around during the day if you need to cover an area because a member of staff has called in sick, or if they just need some extra help elsewhere. So overall, training wise, again, speak to your ride trainer. You'll get realistically 2 trainers per ride that you do. Make sure that you talk to them if you do have any concerns. Ultimately, it's better to be safe than sorry, and also to avoid any accidents. Because at the end of the day, you're trying your best to make the guest experience, but it's also for yourself as well, because it can affect your job otherwise, depending on how your performances are. As you may be able to get the gist from that, being a ride host does involve a lot of time being taken. And bear in mind, this can change depending on what ride you're on. You always get the saying that no ride or no day is ever the same. And I've had many jobs, but believe me, this is truly one of those times where you will say your jobs will never be the same. You can have one day where it's completely smooth, you're running perfectly fine. You may encounter a slight issue, but for the most part, everything runs fine. Next day, you come into a major issue that could result in a lot of downtime, or you have an actual serious incident that might require incident forms or whatever to be reported. No day is the same, and in a kind of respect, that's actually what's quite nice about the job, is that at least it's keeping you on your toes. Like I said at the start of the video though, keep your expectations realistic. Don't think you're going to walk straight into this job and instantly get the ride that you wanted to. When I came in, I was anticipating to be working on Nemesis Reborn, and whilst unfortunately I didn't get to experience that this year, I still maintained my positivity and tried to put my best into what I had. Now, unfortunately, I was lucky enough to experience that with the Curse of Manor and 13, but like I said, that's when next season will come into it. Just set yourself grounded for the expectations. What is good about this job then? Without a doubt, it would be the social aspect that you will find yourself in. Not only from a customer service standpoint, where you'll get to be greeting hundreds of guests every single day throughout the year, getting to connect with them and seeing how their thoughts are, towards the rides and attractions, and seeing how their passion for theme parks comes from your passion of theme parks, and just seeing how that dynamic works. But it's also the members of team that you get to work with. There are some great characters as well. And bear in mind, you're going to be spending a lot of long hours with these people. You'll be seeing mostly a lot of the same people as you'll be working in specific areas. Make yourself really friendly, get yourself out there, make yourself as sociable as possible. Because like I said, if you come up to a Scarefest shift and you're going to be on these rides with a bunch of people that you don't particularly get on with or don't really connect with as well, it's going to be a very, very long day. So make the most of your opportunity and really try and put yourself out there with the members team. Because like I said, they're all the same as well. They all don't want to be working these long ass hours, but they all are here because they love what they do. They love the interest of theme parks, and they're all just great characters as well. So get yourself connecting with them. That's a really great opportunity there. Like I said, for me, the best bit about this job is actually being able to be the one creating the magic, being the one on the other side of it now, checking those restraints, being the one that you can actually go and see how this actually works from the park itself. It's a great experience and a great dream opportunity to be the one creating the magic for the guests now after you've lived it for so long. It's really nice to see those reactions that you get from people when you speak to them about how their experience was of the day. It's just really nice and really heartwarming to see at the end of it. You'll also find that some of the staff benefits are actually quite beneficial as well. Probably the best one is the 3 tickets that you will get. So most Merlin staff members will get something called a Magic Pass. If you're a permanent member of the team, you get something called Enjoy the Ride Pass, which is essentially a Merlin annual pass that can be granted for 5 members, including yourself. But with the Merlin Magic Pass, you'll get so many tickets that you can use at any Merlin attraction. It doesn't have to be ones in the country, it can even be those across abroad. As a matter of fact, we're going on holiday next year to Italy, and specifically going to Gardaland, which is under the Merlin Entertainment umbrella, so we'll get to use free tickets there. But essentially free admission, you'll get to go and experience the likes of Fort Park, Chessington, Alton Towers. If you've got a day off and you want to go experience that, go and experience it, because there is a great sense of opportunities to go and get yourself out there, experience some theme parks. Not to mention Blackpool as well. A lot of their attractions are still under the Merlin umbrella, so that's a great day out there. Plus you can go to the Pleasure Beach, you can experience some rides there. You'll also get staff discount that you'll find from merchandise to food and drink, as long as hotel discount. So if you're going to go stay over, say in London, maybe consider staying on some on-site accommodation and getting to experience that once in a while. There's a lot of other benefits like Lego discounts. You get like a staff discount page, as long as your usual company cars, on-site benefits, holidays, pension pay, all that stuff, all that jazz. There's a lot of great benefits there to work with. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. You may find that the pay is not ideal. However, if you progress more into your job role, that you may see that salary increase. Without a doubt, probably the hardest thing that you could face about this job is the customer service. And this is where I really, really highly recommend that if anybody is going to take on this job, be prepared to experience customer backlash. The amount of times a ride would go down or the monorail would go down, and we're having to sit outside the stations explaining to people why it's down, and the feedback that you get from guests, believe me, it can be harsh sometimes and it does stick with you. We've had numerous occasions where we're at the end of the day, everybody's trying to get the monorail home, and unfortunately we run into a technical fault. There's nothing that you can do about it. Unfortunately, these things do happen. So you've got to explain to guests that unfortunately we can't continue operating. Obviously they're unhappy because they've spent all day walking around the park and are yet incapable of walking back home and want to take the monorail. But in some cases you might find guests with limited mobility, so like in a wheelchair for instance, or just generally need the access of the monorail. There will be a lot of complaints, so if you've got thick skin and can handle your customer service, be prepared for what you're going to experience from guests. It's the same with all the rides as well on the park, because guests will explain to you, you may come into technical issues. I remember Alton Towers' open day last year, and it was absolutely tough with Toxicators closing and a lot of the area. Ride availability and operations were poor, and a lot of guests were unhappy. And I'm speaking to some of them now, having known what they went through on that day, because I wasn't started till May. It's very insightful to see what can be said. Be prepared for the customer service. I would also recommend that if you are going to go work at a theme park, please live close to it. Like I said, I travel an hour out of my way, so I'm already doing some silly times. If I had that opportunity, I would have gone to work at Drayton Manor just because of the closeness and proximity of the location. So I highly recommend don't go out of your way just to go work at a theme park. We've had people that have spent nearly over 2 hours there and back just to work here. And again, it is a great opportunity and great thing to say that you work for Alton Towers. But guys, just keep your sanity in check. Be ideally close to your location. And lastly, the real thing that I can say is, again, going back to expectations, keep them set. You may not get the experience that you do want throughout this season, and that's okay. The job isn't for everybody. Believe me, I was like that at first. I remember the first week or two being there and not feeling like this was going to be what I exactly thought out to it. Stick it out, give it a go. Again, if it isn't your cup of tea, there are plenty of other areas in the park to move on to, and you should really consider those opportunities. But like I said, if it isn't for you, don't feel bad to walk away from the experience. But ultimately, make the most of your time, just keep your expectations and set to a standard. So after a long time with the Alton Towers Resort, you've made some new friends, you've experienced some core memories that will last throughout you, and you got to experience the magic of being the one creating the magic for the rides. Your season at Alton Towers has come to an end, and your season is wrapped up as a rides host. Now for me, this experience at working at Alton Towers, as like I said, it's been a dream opportunity. To go from somebody that was going to the parks on the opening days, getting back into theme parks and experiencing these rides, to now being the one that actually gets to stand on the other side and create the magic for other people. It's a truly great feeling that you can do. Don't get me wrong, you're going to have issues with the job. There are a lot of things that you will find frustrating, from just general operations of your rides, to some other micro issues that you know, unfortunately are just out of your control. But when you take the good with the bad, you've got to consider what you're doing here is still a magical opportunity and something that you are going to enjoy. Now for me, I am going to be looking forward to the next season because I will be coming back as another ride host for the 2026 season. I do have my ambitions set for hopefully pushing on to do a few more rides and looking to progress myself further into the opportunity, and that's the best thing that you can take away from this job role. Always look to improve because there's always opportunities. Like I mentioned at the start, you can go from a ride host to a ride operative and actually be the one in control of the ride's operations. That is a really exciting prospect, and that's something that I'm working towards as well. But if you come into this role, you're going to have your own expectations, so keep them level, keep them realistic, and I promise you'll have a good time at the Alton Towers Resort. That has been my video talking about being a ride host at Alton Towers. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. Like I said, there is a few issues here and there, but for the most part, the end of the season makes it worth more. You get to experience those great Scarefest days. You'll also get to experience some quality preview nights, wrapping up your season with possibly a fireworks spectacular, viewing a party. And just the general memories that you'll get to make as well as working at the Alton Towers Resort. There's a lot of things you can do, and the only thing I can say really is to get yourself out there and give it a go if you ever get the opportunity. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions or anything you would like answering, feel free to leave it in the comments down below and I'll try and do my best to answer those. Please give a like, subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you next time with another video.